How you doing, everybody? I'm 40 Mid. I'm an instructor at Upbeat Academy, and I'm not recent graduate, but graduate within the last 4 years. And today I'm just going to take you on basically I'm going to teach you my process a little bit. I'm going to go in depth about sampling, the different ways you can sample, the three kind of main methodologies of it, and how to integrate that within FL Studio. So let's just get to it. Let's see, right here, this is my sample library. This is my browser. This little section is your browser. And if you have a question about what any of these little buttons do, or any of these, kind of drop down menus, you can kind of look up to your top left. And then that's kind of going to give you everything. It's going to give you the information and tell you what it is. So for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to sample anything that will get this video copyright flagged. So I'm going to go to some loop kits I have made by MSX Audio. They're really good. They have like different compositions you can download. The packs are a little on the expensive side, but it's kind of worth it. So look into it. I'm trying to look for something a little bit more. Samply, soulful, instead of kind of like library sounding. That works. Let's do that one. So I'm gonna right click this little audio file and then go to audio editor. So what this does is it allows you to go to your audio editor. In FL Studio it's called Edison, and this is my main audio editor I use. Some people use Audacity to chop their loops. Some people use Serato Sample, but this comes with FL Studio. You don't have to buy it. If you purchase FL Studio, it'll have it. Even in the demo, it'll have it. It'll work. So yeah, let's just get to it. So what I'm going to do is, let's get into the three main methodologies of sampling. So if you go to DJ Dahi did basically a talk with NPR, and he talked about his three different ways he samples, and this is kind of like the methodology I've taken on throughout my production career. I didn't put it to words like he did, but it's a great example. So if you want to look that up, he'll kind of go into depth in explaining it. But the three ways are chopping the sample and rearranging it, and that's kind of how you can kind of make different melodic structures and different melodic ideas from an already existing piece of music. Then you can just lift the whole loop from a sample from a record, and if I'm sampling like vinyl, sometimes the loop is what you kind of look for to kind of build everything else around. You might find different loops for different songs, different loops for different parts of the song to kind of give it some different song structure. Or you could reverse. The third is reversing the sample. So if you get a loop, reverse it. Or some people just start by bringing their sample into Edison and immediately reversing it, and then seeing what sounds best and kind of going from there and chopping that reversed part out and then bringing it in to the playlist. So let's just get to it. I'm just making a selection right now. And that's going to be my loop. So the way you can kind of figure out a loop is if the sample's in 4/4 time, you can kind of count out the beats like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, and then on those quarter notes, that's kind of where you can chop, or you can chop by half notes, or you can chop by bar. I believe I did it by 2 bar on this one, so I'm just, do the same thing. Go to the end. 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. It's kind of weird. It ends on like an actual odd measure, but that's fine. So now I think I'm gonna just use this first loop as my main section. And basically what I did was, I breezed right by that. So when you're making your loops and you're making your selections, you can go to this little this marker tool right here, and like I said, if you need to know what anything is, go to the hint panel and it'll tell you. But basically I just made my markers and then created my selections for what I'm going to sample, and you make sure you make a start and end point, so you can kind of export your loop. So now I'm going to send this to the playlist by using this button, and boom, it's in our playlist. So now we have a loop, we have a selection. It's not synced up to the BPM, so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not like necessarily linked up to the BPM that we have. So what we have to do is you can do one of two things. You can tap out the tempo, which you can do right here. My latency is pretty right here, and then hit tap tempo. So we're gonna go back to our loop in Edison. And it's gonna get pretty close. I don't think I was perfect on it. There's a little bit, you can kind of see there's a little silence at the end of the sample. Maybe not. But we're just gonna go back to our channel rack. And if you want to get to your audio, hit this drop down menu, boom, click it, and then click the sample file. But now we're gonna go here. This is the time stretching function, which allows us to time stretch our sample and fit it to our BPM perfectly. So if you have a perfect sample child, it'll allow you to stretch it to the tempo perfectly. Okay, so 80 BPM is our correct tempo. Our sample's chopped and stretched to the grid. Now you can see it's all in 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 bar loop. We can just go from there. Boom. So let's see. What would I do after this? For now, I'm just going to show you just a normal looping method, and I'm kind of build a beat around this idea. I can close these. So it has kind of a soulful feel, and I kind of want to do some boom bappy drums, like boom bap the genre, but keep it modern. And by the way I'm going to do that is by using a drum kit from Cardiac, or just more modern producers who use boom bap drum rhythms but have different sample selection. So the key with making whatever genre you want to make is making sure you are choosing the right sounds for that genre, because everything should be not tasteful necessarily, but it should fit. You don't want anything to stick out. All right. Let's see. And you can just your sample. I'm going to lower the sample a little bit. It's kind of loud. It's a good kick. It's got nice some body to it. So what we're going to do is right click that sample and then send it to new channel. Yep, open a new channel. So now we got our kick. Go to our snare. I like that snare. Go to open a new channel. Boom. Okay. And then we are going to find a hat sample. Let's see. Let's go to our Deadly Drums. This is a drum kit made by a sound designer named Croup, C-R-O-U-P. He's a really dope sound designer. He makes, mostly lo-fi, hip-hop style drums. But this has kind of been my go-to for the past couple of years. I like that hi-hat. Boom. Let's rename everything. You can rename it by right-clicking the sample and then hitting rename. Snare. You can recolor. Sometimes I do that, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to speed up my process. Let's see. Let's go to Essential Drum Kit. They have various hat loops. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click the audio editor button. We're going to right click the audio editor button and then drag this in to Edison. And then our samples are already chopped, so this works out perfectly for us. So what we can do is just hit this button and drag it into the playlist. So now it's already time warped. That's a little too slow. We want to make it a little faster. So what we're gonna do is make this make the time stretching module to, or we're gonna time stretch it to 1 bar. Maybe not this loop. Let's try this one. Drag it in. Delete, delete, delete. Let's make this 2 bars. And basically what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to find something that'll match the tonality of the song and will complement it, not interfere with the loop. And a lot of it's just a taste thing, something you kind of figure out over time. But I've noticed our sample is just a little bit early on that one part, and that's not necessarily bad, but I'm a stickler for having stuff on grid. So what we can do is we'll go to our sample editor, and then we're gonna click our sample channel, and then we're gonna right click the waveform, And then on this little drop down function, it says edit in the time warper. So FL Studio added a new, I guess, plugin within FL that allows you to time warp different samples, and kind of lock things to the grid. So that is exactly what I'm going to do right here. And basically it shows us that our sample is no longer in time. So what we're going to do is drag our endpoint towards 5. So it's matching the same to where our, sample editor or time warper is matching the same grid selection as our playlist is. So what we're going to do is, all we wanted to do is move this little sample right here, the beginning of the sample, to where it fits. So what we're going to do is right click this and then just drag it over to 3. And hopefully that didn't, actually let's undo that real quick. What we're going to do is you got to make sure you make 2 selections. One before the part that you want to move, and then one after the part you want to move. So we're going to just lock that one to the grid, lock that one to the grid, and then move this one over. Boom. So now our sample should be completely in time. Nothing should be too early or too late. Let's see. You can drag it over our loop selection that we made earlier. And now it hit on the one perfectly. Okay, cool. And so we have our hat loop. We have our electric piano loop. And now what we're going to do is do our kick and snare. Boom, boom. So now we're in single time. So every one of these little beats, every one of these color changes, I should say, is a beat. So remember that this is the first division of that beat. So this is the very, it's the one. It wouldn't be the one. So this is the 2 and the 4. And that's kind of where you're going to put your snares. Usually you can do different syncopated stuff, but for the purpose of this boom bap inspired track, we're just going to have it on the 2 and the 4. So now we got like a basic rhythm, and what we can do here is if you right click on this channel and then do, let's see, where you at? Fill each 2 steps. Where'd you go? I just did it. No. Oh, it's to the right. So right here, you're gonna do fill each 4 steps. I'm gonna mute our hat loop real quick just so we can hear our hats. So now we got a little vibe going. There's not enough swing. I like to humanize my tracks. So what I'm doing is, all I did was, I used the selection tool. So if you hit E on your keyboard, and then highlight, that's how you, can go to your selection tool. And then if you hit Shift, and then drag over, Shift and left click, it'll give you some more, it'll basically duplicate the pattern for you. So now what I'm doing is, since these things are highlighted, I'm going to hit Alt and then drag down the velocities. So now we kind of have a little bit more swing, a little more groove. It just makes your track sound more human, and it makes it sound more professional, because a lot of tracks do, a lot of more professional or nuanced beats have like velocities, and not everything is hitting the same velocity, because you want to emulate a drummer as much as possible, or maybe you don't, but it's just kind of a good tool to understand and how to use. So I'm just gonna lower our hi-hats a little bit, our hi-hat loop. So now I like it, but I'm gonna give some more, like, I guess, ghost notes to my kick pattern, and just give more like faint kicks to give the track a little bit more bounce. Okay, cool. So now what I'm gonna do is use the swing function, this little knob right here. It's gonna give us a little bit more swing, and I'm just gonna go to the pattern so you can hear it. So that's without swing. I'm gonna do like maybe 30%. Just gives it a little bit more bounce. And if you right click, go to piano roll, this allows you to see like the more detailed version of what you're doing with your drums, or with whatever notes you have on your piano roll. And what I'm gonna do is edit the velocities on our kicks as well. And it just gives it some more velocity and like more rhythm. And what I just did was I right clicked on this channel and I did merge pattern clip. So now we have a longer pattern. So now I can add more kicks with more variation, kind of add turnarounds and stuff like that. So I'm just going to add one more kick right there to give it some variation. And yeah, it's good enough for me. Okay, cool. I like that. So now I'm just gonna go grab a bass sound from my Daily Drums kit. Boom, right click, edit in the audio editor. Oop, wrong one. That's fine though. Let's see, open a new channel. Sorry about that. Boom, 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 boom. So now what I just did was, you can go to your envelope or instrument settings and add an ADSR envelope. So what that allows you to do is, ADSR stands for attack, sustain, decay, and release. And that allows you to kind of make your one-shot samples. You can kind of have some control over when they start and kind of how long they play out. So what we're gonna do is just add a little quick bass line in our pattern. Boom. So I'm just gonna follow the root note. And the way you find the root note is if you can kind of hum it out. It's the lowest note in the chord. So I'm pretty sure it's D sharp. Let's see. Boom. The way I made that little, selection get a little longer is by hitting Shift E. Let's see. if you are having a hard time figuring out or hearing your bass, just go an octave up and just make sure it's in key. And I guess right now what I'm doing is like I'm following the melody, which is fine. You know, whatever works. You know, there's no rules to it, but you kind of always want to complement the music that's already there for sampling. I guess that works for me. Okay, so we got our kick, hat, snare, we got a bass, and a sample. A lot of tracks in the 90s were made on just that. So that's one method of sampling. Let's gonna create a new arrangement, and we're gonna just try something different. What I'm gonna do here is right-click our sample. Oh, I'm gonna left click this little sample right here. We're gonna make it unique. So now we have two of the same samples. Now I'm gonna show you the reversing method of sampling. Actually reversed our original sample, so let's go here. Still doing it. That's weird. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Oh, that's why I didn't actually make the selection. Okay, cool. I like that. I like that. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. So now I gotta figure out what kind of drums I want. Let's go pick a drum loop from somewhere. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see, Cookin' Soul. He has a lot of great drum kits as well. One of my favorite producers. That works for me. Boom. Same thing. We're just gonna drag it in. You can just drag it into the playlist. Right click it. And then boom. 4 bars because you want it to fit the selection that we have in our playlist. Oh, well, looks like that was wrong. Let's see. Let's delete this. Boom. Okay, do it one more time. It might already be fit to tempo, so let's not edit it. Oh, that's 30 minutes. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna finish this and then I'm gonna let you guys go. And yeah, I mean, that's just kind of like two of the main ideas. Let's show you chopping real quick. Two main methodologies of sampling. And then chopping samples is it's pretty straightforward. If you drag the sample into the playlist, you can go chop by bar. You can make even greater chopping selections. Boom, boom, boom. Just gonna go even more in depth. So I'm gonna chop by quarter note. And just chop into the grid. And we have our chop selections. Okay, boom. So now what I'm gonna do is kind of just rearrange it, see what I like. Keep chopping it, seeing what we like. Maybe not that last one. So now we kind of have like a more interesting sounding chop, interesting sounding sample. It's not just lifting it. We're doing a little bit of rearranging of it, the melodic structure. So let's see. Gonna bring in that original pattern that we made first. So yeah, there's a lot more that I would do to a track. Give it more texture, start a little bit of mixing process. But essentially, that's kind of like how I approach sampling. We have lifting a loop, which can be used as a main section or a part of a section of a song from an original composition from somebody else. Then you have, reversing samples. Let me go to that. And then we have chopping. And you could probably use all three of these different little iterations in one song. So we had a 4-bar loop. We could, use the reverse part for a hook or a bridge. Actually, for a bridge would be really good. And then you got this one as your main part. Actually, this could be a verse since there's not too much going on. And then the one with the chops for a hook idea. So yeah, that's kind of how I would go about sampling in FL Studio. If you have any questions, you can DM me at 40mid_. Thank you for Upbeat Academy for having me. And yeah, till next time.